Most people don't make decisions, first of all, on the basis of cognition. There are some things that we think through ahead of time and we plan, but there are many more things where we just don't even recognize that there are any other options. We do the things that we do. And so when it comes to spiritual formation, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's actually more important how a person gets to a particular ethical decision than the ethical decision itself. And so, for instance, I always will use the example of being in a congregation where two members of that congregation came up who served in government. And they were talking about single mothers in their communities who weren't making enough on their jobs to support their children. And one of them said, I think that James 1:27, the mandate to care for widows and orphans in their distress, we ought to raise the minimum wage here. The other said, well, I'm worried about, because of James 1:27, that if we do that these businesses are going to cut back their hours and these moms are going to have to work two jobs instead of one. Yeah. In that case, I mean, the end result in terms of how these two city councilmen voted is not what I would be looking at. That's a prudential decision. What I would be looking at is how are they coming to those conclusions and decisions in their lives. So if a third person came up and said, who cares about single mothers and their children? They need to just work better jobs. That would be something where you could say, look at what has happened somewhere in terms of the shaping and formation of your character. So that often where somebody comes to something is just crucially important.